Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Talking About Rock. I'm your host, Rob Edwards. Today, I also have with me my co-host, Jerry Spitt from Nashville. Jerry, how's it going out there?
It's going very well.
Can you believe we're already on our 10th episode here, man?
That is amazing. We made it.
I know, it's been going pretty good. It's been, things have been going here in Buffalo and out there in Nashville. You're bringing us stuff. It's been great.
It won't be long before we're doing our 100th show, Robert.
Right? Woo! Yeah, let's hope. So today we have with us an extraordinary guest who's fronting one of the most amazing tribute bands I've seen. Obviously, one of the most iconic bands that changed the rules in the landscape of rock music, starting in the 70s. Today we have with us Mr. Rick Rock from Simply Queen. Rick, how's it going?
It's going great. Really good.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about, yourself and the band and stuff. Give us a little brief history, if you would.
Well, for myself, I've been a musician for a long time, and started when I was 8 years old, guitar player, and saw the Beatles, on the Ed Sullivan Show. That's how old I am. And was starstruck with them, and all the acts in late 60s. I was just a kid, just very, very young. My brother was into all the stuff. Jimi Hendrix. I'm left-handed. I became a left-handed guitar player, and I've been mainly a guitar player all my life, and had the bands, in the bar and concert bands around our area. I live in Windsor, Ontario area most of my life, and that's right across the border from Detroit, Michigan, which is one of the capitals of rock and roll. Right. So we got to go over, the bridge or the tunnel here and see the most incredible acts in the world, throughout our whole career, so that was great. And, I did a lot of original music and loved music, all different types of music, but, the classic rock was where I was. That was my pocket, and if you wanted to work, you had to learn about 60 songs and play in clubs, until you dropped, till 2-3 o'clock in the morning sometimes. So I cut my teeth with that, and different other styles of music I've done too, but in recording. But and then Queen was one of my favorites in the early 70s, and someone lent me their album. I think it was the first or second album, and I just went, wow, this stuff is different. This is like where the Beatles took off, type of thing, with a lot of layering of tracks and stuff, and that, and just so many things. It was dynamic, and I just love dynamic, melodic stuff. So the Queen thing hit me right away, and when I got to see them in 1975 in Detroit, that was it. They were so good live. They were different than the albums. And they've been portraying that for many years, that they've been touring. Is you hear our albums, but live you're going to see different twists of the songs. We've changed the songs around, different things, but the live aspect of, hey, if you want to hear the album, perfect, then fine, buy the album. And there's some bands like that, and they've made a living doing that. But Queen wanted to have that live excitement, and change up things with what would you say?
Dynamic.
Yeah. But I'm getting at, they mix songs together in that medleys. That they were into medleys and stuff in that, and draw one song to the other.
Yeah, definitely Freddy was ahead of his time, and some of the things they came up with and tried out and brought out. I mean, even the record companies weren't sure it was going to work, right? They wanted to hold them back from doing a lot of different things. They're like, oh, you're never going to have long songs on the radio. It's never going to work. People are not going to like this stuff,
I know. And but anyway, we'll get to that movie. That really has boosted our band in the last, and a lot of other Queen tributes in the last 3 years, unbelievably. And it was like Beatlemania, all over again, type of thing. And but anyway, through the years, I did that in Queen, and I did some Queen stuff, and I was like 18 years old, and I had the half mic stand and singing, with bands and stuff, and did a little bit of that, and got a little bit of the Freddy thing in there, but never really wanted to do a tribute act. And I always thought tributes were, I don't know, you're copying someone. Elvis seemed to have, a pass, if you were doing Elvis, people love Elvis music at that time, that era. And if the guy was any good, then that was a bonus, because people want to hear, and this is where I think the tributes have escalated in all different around the world. And I think North America is the last continent that really accepts tributes, because, you know, in Europe and Australia and you know, all the Asian countries and that, they were into tributes way before us. You know, and Elvis, if the guy was any good, then that was a bonus, because people love to be around people that are into the same thing. And I think that's where the tribute thing, you know, where it is mentally with everybody, and that it's just like NASCAR. People love to go to NASCAR events, not just to see the race, but hang around people that love cars, love NASCAR. And sometimes it doesn't matter even who wins, right?
Right.
You love to be, so the same with music. They like to go to a concert where they're going to hear, you know, all Elton John stuff, or Tom Petty, or whatever the tribute is, you know, Fleetwood Mac. They love that music, so they love being around people. So I think that is the click, what excites people, that they love to be around people in the music that they love. And I think that's where the tribute thing is beyond. And if the act is good, that's a bonus. You know, so I accepted that about 10 years ago, started doing some Queen stuff and Freddie, and I started doing some Legends Live things where I was just Freddie Mercury, and there might have been a Garth Brooks and like I say, Tom Petty or someone else, and maybe 5 or 6 different acts, an Elton John, whatever, that, and an Elvis that does these shows for people, right?
That's a great idea.
Pardon?
I said that's an amazing idea.
Yeah, so there is Legends Live and a few other things out there that people come to see, these, you know, variety of music or so, and they see these people acting, you know, and doing maybe 20 minutes, 30, 40 minutes of you know, whatever impersonation and that, you know, and take pictures with them and that. So that's the excitement. Putting a band together is a whole other thing. It's a lot of work.
Oh, you got several distinct personalities that you have to deal with.
Yes, and putting it together, and it's not just learning songs. Anyone can learn a song, but when you put a show together, that's the whole thing. So that's been the toughest thing, to make it exciting and work right from the beginning to the end, you know? So this song belongs here, this one, this is what I'm going to do. So while I'm on stage, I'm not just singing that song. I know what I have to do for the next song, or what I have to change, costume, or this, or you kind of systemize things, and then you play with the crowd. So things might change with the crowd. All of a sudden, I'm in the crowd doing something in the crowd. I love going into the crowd and working with them and making them sing, and they love it. And that's what the Queen music is, getting people together. You know, if you're not all going dad, oh, you know, then you're doing something else. You know, you're telling everyone, all right, everyone's all right. You know, something, you're doing something to interact with the crowd, and that's where Queen escalates, I think, with our show, that we're interacting with the crowd.
Yeah, it's definitely a shared experience, you know, being at a live show. I think it's something that, you know, some bands started to get away with. They weren't concentrating as much on the presentation of their shows, you know what I mean? Queen was known for that, you know what I mean? A lot of other bands in the 70s were known for that. And hopefully as people start going back to shows, and they'll start realizing, you know, this is what it's about. When you see live music, is what it's about. You know, I've not had the chance to see you guys personally live, but I've seen a lot of your videos, and your stuff's amazing. You guys are right on par. You know what I mean? It sounds really good. You know, I would think if I close my eyes, I would think I'm listening to Queen. You know, it's
live. We don't use any tracks, and some bands and acts have to use tracks. Some don't have to. We have an intro, you know, just like Queen does, maybe to open up the show, intro before we get into our instruments or get on stage. An intro, we use the intro thing, but we are completely live. And now we got 4 guys that are lead singers, and we have worked really hard to get these extra harmonies and extra parts of Queen's, you know, this is Queen's signature in this song. You know, if it's just one person singing, you're only getting, you know, part of it, you know. So we interact, you know. Our drummer Phil is right-hand man to me, that he is doing a lot of Roger Taylor stuff, and he sings like Roger Taylor. So that's great too. So, and I'm fronting the band and I'm working the crowd, and that's where we find, if you can bring that crowd in, we recently did a show, and there was a big rainstorm. It was really bad. It was really bad, and it just flooded everything. It was horrible. It fried out the digital board and the front show. We had no microphones. We're going, okay, we got to get on stage. And time's running out, and the crowd is coming, coming into this place, and we're going, what are we going to do? And they can't figure out. So we just said, let's go on stage with no microphones, okay? Just us singing to them with an acoustic guitar and a tambourine. And we did as much songs as we could, until they could get the system working. Otherwise, the show is over. So we just an improv thing. I brought all the crowd right to the stage so they could hear us. They were singing like every song with us. And so we made it work. So that's the whole thing. Sometimes you have to not just compromise, but you have to make things work, because things break down. It's just the way things are.
Definitely to be a performer and to be an entertainer, you have to be dynamic, and you have to be able to do that. And that was awesome. You did something like that. I'm sure the crowd loved that.
Otherwise, the show's lost, and the show was saved. People were losing their mind out there, because we're interacting every song with them, until we got the microphones and everything working in that. But it's either that or, okay, let's fold our arms and we're not going on stage, until everything's perfect,
Yeah.
So, we're older bunch of guys that been around. We've seen everything that could happen, either in a club, in a concert, at a festival, So you have to be able to especially in this world, in the last year and a half, talk about compromise. Oh my gosh. All of our lives have been compromised.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. So what happened for your guys, as COVID was coming about and everything was closed?
Well, right. We just finished playing a whole week at Busch Gardens in Florida. It was 12 shows in 6 days. Quite exhausting, but record crowds. There were people who are having a ball, and we did a couple other Florida shows, Butterfly Fest and a couple others. And the next week or so, boom, everything shut down. We have all these shows in Canada, United States, and that, and possibly a couple cruises and that scheduled, for 2020. And oh my gosh, one by one, you got to get a hold of everybody, either agents, promoters, whoever's putting on these shows. Say, okay, we shut down. What are we going to do? So you got to, if you don't talk to anybody, then so you have to contact everybody and say, okay, what are we going to do? So we held out, and a lot of the shows this year are last year's rescheduled shows. Some are canceled even until next year, especially here in Canada. Everything's been shut down, So we're just about going to do a couple of shows in Canada, and we're going to see how that works. They're outside shows and stuff. And that's what we're doing. We have a work visa. We always do that for a Canadian acts can go work in the States as long as they have a work visa, special musicians work visa, along with the union, the musicians union in that Canada, United States. And you have to fill out a lot of forms and stuff. It's a lot of work, with your passport and this and that. So that we do that every year anyway, because we're right across the border from Detroit. In Michigan, there's a tunnel and a bridge. So, and sometimes we go across the Buffalo way, so, but anyway, so we just said, should we apply for this year or not? So we said, let's do it, because we don't know what's going to happen. And so if it doesn't happen, it's a write-off, expenses. If it does happen, we'll be able to do that. So we've been able to do that. And as slowly as certain states in the United States and now Canada's opening up, it's happening. So we're just staying in contact with everybody. Say, are we going to do a show or not? And if not, we can move it till next year or so, or later on in the year. So everyone is scrambling right now. What I feel really, so it's not just the musicians and all the arts, you know, the performing arts and that, you know, ballet and all that stuff, you know, it's not just the performers, but it's the production companies that, you know, we might have thousands and thousands, maybe $10,000-$20,000 worth of equipment and wardrobe and that. These production companies have gear, PA, lighting, trussing, you know, staging, sitting in warehouses for a year and a half.
Right.
They've got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars sitting in a warehouse that they're paying a mortgage on, really,
Right.
you know? And I feel really bad. And I know some of these people, they're close friends being in the industry all these years, and they're the ones suffering the most. It's as far as, you know, money, you know, and that, and holding off. So I see a lot of companies already folding. It's just, I can't do this anymore, you know?
Right. Right. And that was kind of the idea a little bit behind this, doing the show with Jerry and I. We wanted to get the word out there to folks to say, you know, there's still live music around. Things are opening up. Things are starting to happen.
Yes.
If you know, and with the advent of streaming, you know, obviously, you know, recording acts aren't making any money anymore. So it's like, if you want to support
Right.
these musicians, you need to go out and check out local music in your town, in your area. You know, support these bands, these guys.
Right.
If you want to keep seeing this music, you know, as everything's opening up, this is what's going on. This is what you need to do. So we thought that was definitely a good idea to put something together and start showcasing this.
Right.
We
And
appreciate it.
this talk about rock, you know, you guys are the link. You guys are one of the links, you know, that get the word out, get you know, say, hey, are we going to sit at home and do nothing, you know, or whatever? I'm not making money on this. You don't have to make money on everything in life. There's more to it than just making money. It's connecting with people and doing what you love to do, right?
Right.
If you do what you love to do, it's not work, it's your passion.
And usually the money will come if you're doing what you enjoy.
Exactly. And it may not come in chunks, it may come in, you know, however, you know. And now, how many stories have you heard where either actors or musicians or someone, you know, they were down on their luck, you know, and they started with nothing, you know, and you go down the line of every type of music or you know, acting story. It's unbelievable. You know, people lived in, you know, had a rough life and they made it. Well, it's because it's one step at a time, you know, and if you want to reach a goal, it takes time. You know, it's not, you know, I mean, there's been very few people who got lucky and, you know, right from the get-go, they became famous or so and had money all their life. But most of the stories you hear, they're all real. People started with nothing, you know,
Yeah.
and I always say, you know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's one day at a time.
Right,
you know?
right, yeah.
You have to work at it.
You have to work
So
at
the
it.
same as putting together a Queen show or a Pink Floyd show or something. It's not just learning note for note and all this stuff. It's putting that, you know, tackling it one step at a time, you know, and okay, what are we going to do here? What sounds better here? So sound, you know, the visual, the whole working with the audience and stuff. And that's where Queen is, it's a great show. So I'm friends with 4 or 5 of the other Queen acts that are around the world, and the Freddys, we talk. There's 4 or 5 of us. We talk together, and we're rooting for each other. We're always rooting for each other, which is great. You know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We see that a lot here in our local bands in Buffalo. It wasn't that way originally. They were kind of like against each other. Oh, I want to get this show, or I want to get booked here. But now with everyone kind of getting together as a community, the bands here locally are really starting to support each other. You know what I mean? They go to each other's shows, they talk about things that are going on, and that's great. I mean, I go out there and talk to the club owners and the people, and Jerry's out there in Nashville talking to folks and talking to club owners, you know, to kind of get the word on what's going out and talk about different things. But
Buffalo, by the way, we're going to be in Buffalo at the Stage August 13th.
Excellent.
Hey, right around the corner for you, Robert.
Yeah, right there. We're going to be there. So let's connect. You know, I'll get you some free passes. I don't know if it's free or there's admission or whatever, but I'll get you in the show. We played at Angola, an outside thing at Chicks, I think it was called.
Yeah,
That was a lot of
I
fun.
missed that one. I really wanted
It
to see that
rained.
one at Chick.
It rained before we got on, but another rain thing. But it wasn't a rain out. We made things work. The crowd hung in there, and like I said, they came close to the stage. We had a great night there, you know, and the people there were great. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Chicks is a nice stage, but yeah, the rain thing is what gives them.
Yeah,
a
they're
problem
just
all the time.
starting all that stuff. They got a big stage back out there, you know, near the Ball Diamond and that. So there's so many places like that in America. It's unbelievable. There's so many great towns that have these perfect spots for people to come out, especially outside, and start this whole engine back of people enjoying themselves again, you know, and being careful about, you know, the one great thing about this whole shutdown and that, which is not great, but you know, we've learned that we need to clean, you know, just live in a cleaner world, you know, type of thing, you know. So that's one positive thing. I think the world's going to be cleaner about that, you know.
Yeah.
By the way, so rock, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Jerry's in Nashville area?
That's correct.
Right. We played in Tennessee, Knoxville, a couple of years ago. There's a amphitheater right in the middle of the city in Knoxville. Forget what it was called. It was such a great amphitheater right in the middle of Knoxville. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Knoxville. It's about 3 hours from where I'm at.
All right. Because you live in God's country, right? Nashville's God's country.
I guess some people refer to it as God's country.
All right. So a lot of country still there, right? So I still have to go. My wife is American and she loves country music, and she's lived in different states and that. I met her in Colorado Springs actually, but anyways, we got to get to Nashville, and the band's got to play somewhere in Nashville. You know, we'll just put a country swing to every song.
No, you don't have to do that. There's plenty of rock fans here.
I know there is. I know there's rock and roll in Nashville. It's not just country, but people love music there. You know, it's another music hub.
Oh, Nashville's definitely become the new hub, I would say, right, Jerry? There's so much going on there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We have all kinds of musicians moving here from California and New York and everywhere else from around the country.
Some of them you want to stay. No, don't come here. Don't come here. Stay where you're at.
That seems to be the way of thinking for a lot of the natives. Or a lot of the people
everyone
that
wants
have
to
been here
say,
a long time.
I live in a small town, Amherstburg here, which is near the border, but we love our little heritage town. It's where the War of 1812 was, you know, but anyways, things are starting to grow here now, but we want things to progress, but we're like, whoa, we want to keep it a small town, you know, type of thing.
Right. Yeah, that's not happening here anymore. It's definitely a big city atmosphere now.
Oh yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah. So what else would you like to talk about?
So another thing I wanted to ask you, so there are lots of tribute bands going on right now, which is great. You know what I mean? Like you said, classic rock.
Yeah.
You know, will never die. It's a big thing.
Right.
So, but tell me, why choose probably one of the most difficult bands to emulate, right? These guys had so much going on, right? It was like, it was like rock opera on steroids. You know?
I know, it's a challenge. Let me tell you, after 2 or 3 songs every show, it's like,
and you know your audience is going to be like, they know these songs, they've heard of them a million
I know
times.
there's certain things,
right?
Yeah, but we do add some of the deep cuts though too, just to get, you have to play the hits,
right?
But you got to throw in a couple, you know, curveballs there and that. Okay, only the Queen fans will know certain songs from the first couple albums, or whatever, or some deep cut or something, or maybe we're doing a song and we jump into a little bit of some deep cut thing, and I throw a couple lines at some people, and I can tell the ones that, oh, I know where that's from, you know, or something like that. It's from another Queen song or so. But yeah, how did I think about doing Queen? I had enough friends say, Rick, you should just do the Queen thing. You know, you've touched on Queen here and there with 3 or 4 songs, you know, with different bands and that. And the challenge is on, you know. So finding the right musicians and that, there's a lot of great musicians out there. It's more than just, you know, that. Like I say, it's putting the show together and that. And so it's more than just being on stage and playing. It's everything else, you know. And then traveling too, and that, you know, with the ups and downs of traveling, you know.
Yeah, from
But
what I've seen, you guys do a fabulous job. From what I've seen, definitely, with all the tracks in the show, it sounds amazing.
yeah,
I can't wait to see it live.
we've had the time now in the last few months to improve the show because we've rehearsed, right? And we worked on adding more vocals to the show and more of those harmonies, the Queen signature harmonies, the parts, say, okay, well, Queen did this live, but they didn't do this harmony in there. But let's do a little bit of what Queen and Adam Lambert's doing right now is they're adding back a lot of harmonies and stuff and throwing that. So we're doing that too. And we recently have a new guitar player, Chuck Lambrick, who's a good old friend of ours from the Windsor area. And he plays with Mitch, our bass player, and a Van Halen tribute. And
Nice.
we've all interacted. The drummers played with this guy. We've all played with each other throughout the last, couple of decades and that. So we all know each other and that. So that helped us, work on this show again because we live close to each other and that. So, however, some musicians come and go in bands and stuff like that. But I haven't found a sub for myself. We have subs for each guy in the band and that, just in case something happens. But for me, I got to find some young guy that can do the Freddy thing, and play the piano and that. I'm actually not a piano player. I had to learn. I've known enough for piano. My mom taught me when I was a kid. She played all these old songs and stuff and that, and I used to just dabble with our piano. But all I've ever known on the piano is because I'm a guitar player actually. So guitar players have had to learn how to play a few other instruments. It's just the way it is. Who's going to play keys in this song and that? So we've had to learn that. So through the years, I played a little bit of keyboards in bands and that. But I basically on piano, I know my originals and I know Queen. And I've had to learn, not just learn the Queen stuff on piano, but how Freddie plays. He's got a very unique, it's extraordinary what he does and how he plays some of these parts live too. He's changed up some things. It's a little tricky. So I've learned his style of playing live on the piano, and it's taken me years to get that. So that this is how he plays We Are the Champions, because how he plays We Are the Champions on piano is a little bit different than what he does on the record. And people may not notice it, but there's just little subtle things.
Right.
So that's what I've had to learn.
Yeah, I think I could say as fans, we appreciate, the emulation as close as possible because you want that experience, right?
Yeah.
When you're at that show, you want to feel like you're seeing Queen. I've seen other tribute bands that do other different acts, and there's elements missing from the performance, and it kind of takes it away. You know what I mean?
Right. There's only a couple of us, maybe 3 or 4 of us that actually are doing Freddie and Queen that can play the piano too, and that, and I think it's a big part for the Queen thing. I mean, Freddie played and a lot of piano, and what they were doing live, Queen started backing off on like playing Killer Queen and like Best Friend and that big hits because Freddie was on the piano too much. So you got to watch. I got to front the band. So there's so many songs. It's like, okay, where do we put the piano in here and there? Because if I'm stuck on the piano too much, it's too much. Freddie needs to be out there. So people were wondering when they got to Wembley Stadium and that, and they're in the mid 80s, 85, 86, in that they stopped doing some songs because Freddie needed to be out front, more. So they're going, oh, they're not doing that anymore, just because they just didn't want to be on the piano that much. He had to be on the piano for Somebody to Love, We're the Champions, Bohemian Rhapsody, and a few others, Don't Stop Me Now or so, but you can't be stuck on the piano too long.
Right, yeah.
I mean, if it was an Elton John show, everyone knows Elton John is basically a piano player, right? So, but for Freddie, and Freddie never gets enough credit. I keep saying this in every interview in that, he is, the stuff he did on piano is amazing, and the stuff that he wrote on piano is amazing. But he always is known as this singer, this one of the greatest singers of all time. But the piano work is unbelievable. He studied Chopin when he was a kid, India and that. He studied classical stuff. So that's where he picked up some of this stuff, opera type stuff, and that was the classical stuff that he loved to do.
Yeah.
He loved Liza Minnelli. He loved Aretha Franklin. and he loved some of the opera stuff.
Yeah.
And
I
he
mean,
kind of combined it all into the music of Queen,
Right.
all three of those elements.
yeah, definitely.
What's your favorite song?
My favorite song, Keep Yourself Alive.
Oh yeah, yeah. We do that at the near the beginning of each show, and that because it's one of those driving to, you know, it just gets people going right off the bat. You know, if people know it or not, it's just a great song. Yeah,
I just think it's
love doing
a
it.
great
It is.
theme song for me every day.
It's the first Queen song that they ever recorded too, as Queen. Yeah, Brian May had the song already before that with "Smile," I think, and then he brought it to Queen.
And
Yeah.
another one I like is Tie Your Mother Down.
Oh yeah, so you're a rocker, yeah. Tie Your Mother Down.
Absolutely, yeah.
That is the epitome of just a straight rock and roll song, you know. I mean,
No doubt about it.
it's like Aerosmith, it's like Foghat, it's like, you know, it's just straight rock and roll, you know, in your face rock and roll.
It
People love
gets you
that.
fired up.
Oh yeah, we just love doing it. So yeah. Mhm.
So how long did it take you guys to get the harmonies down for Bohemian Rhapsody? You and the rest of the band. You
Still in
guys
progress.
it's still a work in progress.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
30 years. No. There's a lot of layers in that. So we do what Queen does live. So we're splitting up that song, and we did it when the first time I saw Queen was they had the opera part on tape before the band even got on stage.
Right.
And Freddie was behind a scrim, a black scrim. Okay, it's like a silhouette, and all of a sudden you hear, "I see a little silhouette of a man," and Freddie's behind the scrim, and all you see is Freddie behind his scrim. People going crazy. You know, I was just a teenager, so I'm like, oh my gosh, they're starting to show with this. You know, the band's not even on stage yet, and everyone's going crazy because you see Freddie behind this. So some of the shows that we can do, especially the theater shows, we do that. We start with that. And then, you know, the band comes in, down, down, the rock part. And so we open the show with that. It's like, oh my gosh, we're starting the show with one of the greatest, you know, epic parts of the show. But it's okay. There's enough parts that are left in this show that it's okay. So sometimes we do that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Pardon?
I said, there you go. That's a unique way of doing it.
And lately we've been doing finishing show as an encore. It's about 15 minutes long. It's most of the Live Aid show that they did. That was about 20 minutes long. So we might move Hammer to Fall into earlier, so like that. But we do a lot of the Live Aid. I'm giving away the show here, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty to see.
But our encore is, you know, 4 or 5 songs. You know, it's great. And I always love, I don't know about you guys, but going to a show and, you know, get people on for an encore and all this stuff and that. And they do one song and they leave.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make sense.
You know, it's like, it's just like, okay, they did a song. They want to hear one more song. Okay, we'll do one more song. I love the bands that just, they'll pour on 2, 3, 4 songs in an encore.
I know.
Like they don't want to leave the stage. One band I remember I was young seeing was Jay Giles. I've seen them 3 times. Jay Giles was a party band. Let me tell you, they would do not just one encore, and they wouldn't do just one song. They would do like 2 or 3 songs per encore. We saw them in Detroit. They came on 3 times. They came on the stage around 10:30, quarter after 10. The show was done at 1:30. I mean, the encore was half the show. Yeah, they came on 3 times. They wouldn't get Peter Wolf wouldn't leave the stage. Now that's entertainment. When a band does that, gives you more than what you expect. And I think that's part of the Queen thing. You know,
you don't see that anymore. They cut them off at 11 o'clock sometimes.
Yeah, I know. That's just curfew things and that. But so that's the excitement I think that's happening with our band and the other Queen tribute bands and that, and other tribute bands that are out there, is creating that excitement and bringing it back now, and that even more, you know.
Yes.
So Rick, when do you come down to Nashville?
Nashville. We'll work on that. We'll work on the Nashville thing. Yeah.
Yeah, bring your show here.
That would be
Forget where
great.
we're at. We're probably close by there, but we've been in that area, but not Nashville. But I'll work on trying to get a show in Nashville.
Excellent, excellent. Well,
Talk
we
it up.
really look forward to you coming back to Buffalo. I look forward to seeing you guys live.
Yeah, there'll
I
be
know
a
it's gonna
few
be
other
amazing.
things around the Buffalo area. Yeah,
August 13th, right? The stage?
13th at the stage. Yeah.
All right, excellent, excellent. We will see you there. We appreciate you so much taking the time and speaking with us today.
Sure.
And like you said, your show's amazing. You know, can't wait to see you guys on the road. Keep rocking, and I'm glad things are opening here and in Canada. You know what I mean? And thank you so much again for.
Well,
for
thank
taking
you
the time.
guys, and talking about rock. That's a great show you got here, and that. And I wish you the best. Forward on here. Absolutely.
Thank
We
you so
appreciate
much for
you.
coming on, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
I appreciate you guys. You guys are, like I said, you're the link to get people, interacting again. So.
Yeah, we're trying to keep the flame burning here, man. So take care of yourself. We'll see you
Okay.
soon.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Take care, Rick.
Yep. Cheers.
Cheers.